Hello, I'm Wendy Benton, your host for WTNB today. Thank you for joining me. Before we get started, I want to give a shout out to my friend Vance Berger. He oversees Fort Bluff, that is owned by Bryan College in Dayton, Tennessee. We were there last week for the NACA tournament, and my boys are both playing football, and that was their end-of-year tournament, and they do a fabulous job at Fort Bluff. And I just want to tell him thank you, and wonderful host up there, beautiful facilities. If you get a chance to go to Fort Bluff, please do so. It's a great place to visit and take your family. So now let's get started with our show today. I've got two very special guests who've been on here before, Mr. Coleman Foss, the CEO of now Tennova Hospital, and Stephanie Austin, who is the Assistant Administrator at Tennova. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Well, I'm glad you're here, and we're here to talk about this new name change and from Skyridge to Tennova, and a lot of good things that are going on and coming up, like the open enrollment for the healthcare marketplace and other things. So, right. Coleman, we'll just get started with you about the name change that happened back in September.
Right. Back on September 28th, we changed our name from Skyridge Medical Center to Tennova Healthcare Cleveland. And it's a big step for us. It's really not much of an operational change, but it does give us a lot of opportunities from a marketing standpoint, from a managed care contract standpoint, and really to affiliate with some of our hospitals that we own also up in Knoxville, and also for us to deepen some of our relationships with the hospitals down in Chattanooga as well too. Tennova was a system that was based out of Knoxville that we bought, 4 or 5 years ago, I guess. Mm-hmm. And at the time we thought, well, should we expand that brand name across the state? And there was a lot of discussion about it, and we finally decided, well, you know what, Skyridge had only been around for a certain while. Of course, it was Bradley Memorial in Cleveland community for a number of years, and so we said, let's just drop those names and we'll just become part of the Tennova network. And it's been great for us. I mean, received a lot of warm accolades for changing the name and for banding together with another system. And it doesn't hurt to have Peyton Manning as your spokesperson.
Yes,
and,
that's right.
He's been very helpful for this whole process. But we're excited because the Tennova system in Knoxville consists of 6 hospitals, and we've also got Tennova in West Tennessee. So that gives us, I think at one point we're like 14 hospitals statewide, right. And we may bring some other hospitals into the fold too. But the biggest change is when we sit down with the different insurance companies, the Blue Crosses and the Aetnas and the Cigna, as opposed to being one hospital with 1,200 employees and 4,000 admissions. Now we're 18 hospitals with 70,000 admissions and I think 7,000 or 8,000 employees across the state. So it's really gives us a lot more clout when we sit down and do those kind of managed care negotiations.
Right. Well, absolutely. And I guess does that elevate the hospital to a different level, being part of a larger system that way?
Well, it doesn't, not particularly us, although it does give us the ability to affiliate. For example, our hospitals in Knoxville have a very strong bariatric program. Mm-hmm. It's a service that we don't offer. Those services that we offer, it gives us the opportunity to grow it, specifically cardiac, orthopedics. Mm-hmm. We will do a whole lot more cardiac work, but if somebody's having a cardiac event or stroke, we're going to be able to take care of a lot more of it here just because of some things that we were doing already before we even did the name change. But obviously, in both a heart attack or a stroke, it's a situation where time is of the essence. So we wouldn't be sending folks to Knoxville for those type of situations. Mm-hmm. We'd still be working with our partners down in Chattanooga on those situations. But the key is always in those situations, the quicker somebody can get intervention, the quicker we can save heart tissue, or the quicker we can save brain tissue or the brain cells. And so the whole goal is get people here to our hospital as quickly as possible when they're having some sort of event, and then we can get them to where they need if they need a higher level of intervention. But to answer your question directly, yeah, we're going to be doing more here locally. And part of that is because of there's a big cardiac research unit up there that they have in Knoxville that those doctors will be assisting our cardiologists. We're bringing additional cardiologists in. So it's all the way around makes us a more complete healthcare system right here in Cleveland because it gives us access to more services across the region.
Right, and that's exciting.
Right, and I was just going to touch on that. I think she asked a really good question because there is some confusion on with the name change, if there was a buy or you were sold, or what does that mean? I think because we are now going to be associated with a recognizable name, it does allow us to be able to better promote these type of alliances that we have, and people are going to be able to, when you say Tennova, then you know it's a recognizable thing throughout the state of Tennessee. So I do think that assists us in giving some credibility to what we know we've been doing very well for a long period of time, to step it up, and it's now connected to a recognizable brand.
And it's a strong system. At one time, I don't know if this is still true, but at one time the Tennova healthcare website in Knoxville was had the second most number of hits, second only to Go Vols or Vols Extra, whatever that. Which, that tells you a lot of people are getting onto that website to find out healthcare information and how to access the system. So for us to join up with a system like that, I think is powerful and strong.
Yes. Well, and Coleman, you mentioned partnerships, and I know you've got the partnerships with the Knoxville hospitals as well as Chattanooga.
Correct.
And how does that work?
I think we've been associated with many of our peers in the Chattanooga market for many, many years. That's been a very strong relationship. Our goal is to get our patients the best care that they need, and if it's a service we don't provide, we're going to get them to where they need to be.
Right.
Okay.
For example, on the cardiac side, I mean, we have traditionally transported our patients down there once we stabilize them, and you really have about an hour window once somebody starts having an event, be it a stroke or a cardiac event. And so you want to get those folks taken care of as quickly as possible. But it helps for us to be able to administer medication on the front end and stabilize them and save that tissue, almost freeze them up a little bit, if you will, and then get them to where they either get the interventional radiology or the interventional cardiology. But now we've been doing a lot of recruiting and building up of our cardiac services, and it helped. To be quite candid, in the recruitment process of bringing cardiologists in, for us to have that backing of the large cardiac research group in Knoxville. Not that they necessarily will be going to Knoxville, but it's always helpful for when you're bringing physicians in, they like to have colleagues that they can rely on if they need additional help. And so it was a big boon in us bringing in what we feel is a really top-notch cardiology group.
Right. Well, and does that mean like you get new equipment or you expand that area of services, and what does that mean?
Well, because we're still part of CHS, we still get community health systems. We still get our money from the same place, but what it does allow us to do is we've been able to recruit additional physicians in. We've been able to bring in additional equipment that we were planning on doing even before the name change of Tennova. So this has sort of been the good housekeeping seal of approval for this cardiology group out of Knoxville. It's East Tennessee Cardiology to come in and help us get this whole thing set up. So, you never want to have to reinvent the wheel if somebody else has already done a good job of it. And so we're in a situation where we're taking the expertise that they've had, applying it in our marketplace. We'll still work with our Chattanooga affiliates for patients who need immediate intervention after we stabilize them.
And talking about partnerships, you've got new doctors coming on board, and I know you're excited, other than the cardiologists.
Well, we do, yeah. We have a new cardiologist who's coming in, Dr. Leisha, who is coming to us from Mississippi, and he'll be joining Dr. Abraham. So we'll have two interventional cardiologists, which is great for this area. We've not really been able to handle a lot of STEMI type situations, which is a STEMI is basically a heart attack. It stands for an ST elevated myocardial infarction. But that's a big thing that's been lacking in this area. So now we'll be able to manage those in the ER. We can either treat them here if we feel like it's something that we can handle, but if it's something that we think is beyond our scope and capability, we'll still be sending those down to Chattanooga. So it's kind of the best of all worlds for the patients in this area. But we're bringing Dr. Leisha in, and his wife, Dr. Raba, is a pediatrician. She's actually going to be setting up practice down in the Ooltewah area, so we have a clinic down there as well. So that'll happen next year. We've brought in an infectious disease doctor, which a lot of people probably don't even really realize what that means and knows, but that's the one thing. Well, our medical staff, that's probably the number one physician specialty they've been asking us to recruit, and so we brought Dr. Kotri in, great lady. She is actually partnering with the big infectious disease group down in Chattanooga. And where that has impact for a community is a lot of times, it sounds strange, but each community may be a little bit different in terms of how it responds to different diseases and what drugs are more efficient in terms of tackling those diseases. And so if infectious disease doctors really help the rest of the medical staff figure out what's the right combination of drugs to really be as efficient as possible. I mean, it's a huge issue. We've given so many antibiotics over the years that a lot of the antibiotics that we gave several years ago are completely, they're almost useless now. And a lot of it stems from people going and getting a Z-Pack when they have a virus. That doesn't help you. It's an antibiotic. It kills bacteria. It doesn't kill viruses. And so, but we as a country have just kind of overused that. And I'm getting way out of my league in terms of knowing it completely to understand it. But I do know it's an issue. And so for her to be there to assist our medical staff with the healing process is huge. So we brought her in, and that's a great thing for the community. Dr. Spangler, Jason Spangler, who grew up here, went to Bradley Central, played baseball at Lee, finished his orthopedic residency, came back, and he has joined sports medicine, Center for Sports Medicine over here with Dr. Stone and Dr. Grebner. He's a great guy. He has hit the ground running, and his practice has taken off greatly. Dr. Worthington, who went into Surgical Associates, the group that was Dr. Johnson and Dr. Rumble, Dr. Coombs, Dr. Winger, and Dr. Dunn. Of course, Dr. Rumble left, and Dr. Josh Worthington came in, and he has also hit the ground running. He's a great surgeon, and that group is really very strong now. We're real pleased with that surgical group. So we've got a high level of physicians in the community on the specialty side, and we're always looking to grow our primary care doctors. So we've brought 2 other primary care doctors in. Dr. Nicole Bernatowicz, she's just a delightful individual and a great person. She is over at our HealthWorks office over here on Peerless across from Cleveland High School. I guess she's been with us about 6 months.
6 mons.
Yeah, and really doing well. And then Dr. Kevin Anderson has joined Dr. David Anderson and Dr. Don Robinson. They're no relation, but he's a great guy as well, and we're excited to have him. So they're up on top of the hill. Used to be the Holiday Inn. I guess it's the Mountain View Inn now, but he's also a very delightful guy. So we're always looking to expand our primary care base, but at the same time bring specialties, additional specialties into the area, as well as enhance the specialties that we have.
And Dr. Anderson is internal medicine, Dr. Bernanowitz is family practice,
Correct.
And Dr. Raba, who is doing pediatric work in Ottawa. So it's really exciting that we're covering all the bases in regards to primary care.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think the other thing to touch on is in regards to the specialists, which maybe the community would be pleased to know is through our alliances through Chattanooga, a lot of the specialty groups, there is only one specialty group. So for instance, your infectious disease, we also have our neonatology program. So when you're seeing these specialists, these are the same group that you would, if you were driving down the road, you're seeing the exact same group up here in Cleveland. That was one of the things and initiatives that Coleman put in place, is trying to reduce the amount of travel time people would have to do to go outside of
Same
Cleveland.
thing with Tennessee Oncology. They're actually based out of Nashville, but they've got a huge group in Chattanooga, and they bought Dr. Krieger a couple years ago, and that's of course the clinic they've built over here. Dr. Tran, Dr. Krieger is outstanding. It's probably one of their top clinics that they have. So, that's kind of been our goal, is let's have the caliber and quality of physicians we need to have locally, but let's give it a local access, and the hospital's the theater for that ought to be performed, so to speak. So.
Right, and I think that's a great idea. People, especially in Cleveland, think the bigger cities have the better physicians.
Right.
So when you're associated with those groups from those larger cities that are right here in our town,
Correct.
That's huge. I mean, that again validates and gives credibility to our facilities.
Right, exactly. Well, as one doctor somewhat tongue-in-cheek said, but there's an element of truth to it. He goes, I don't know why my IQ seems to go up when I go over White Oak Mountain. People think I'm smarter when I'm over there. But yeah, we really feel it. And we've got a very strong medical community. We're blessed with excellent subspecialists. We've got good pulmonologists, good urologists, good general surgeons, good orthopedic surgeons, good oncologists, a very good, strong base of primary care doctors. And I can tell you, I mean, I've traveled around the South, that not every community this size has the depth and scope of the physicians that we have in this community. So, I think people are always reluctant. Smaller town, can the medicine be as good? Well, I can tell you 2 things. One, I think everybody here is outstanding in their field, but we also recognize if it's something beyond our limitations, we'll get you to where you need to be. But our goal is to try and do more and more here, as long as we can do it the right way. We're not about doing things that are beyond our scope. So we've had very, very good success over the last 7 or 8 years.
Well, and I think that's a good message as well, you know, that hey, if we can't do it, we know someone who can, and we will work to get you the best care possible if your needs aren't met.
Right. And in so many of those situations, like I was mentioning earlier with strokes and heart attacks, time is really of the essence. And people may think, well, gosh, it's better for me to drive down to Chattanooga. That's really not the case, because the quicker we can get you some medical intervention, it may not be the ultimate medical intervention that you're going to have, but you know, like a heart attack, if we can start treating that quickly with medicines, your chances of survival go up significantly the quicker we can get in there and do some things. And we're very adept and very skilled at that, but we will be able to do more here now than we were, but still it's all about getting in that golden hour and trying to get the clots or whatever it is that need to be thinned out taken care of for the patient, because you know, you don't get a second chance at some of those things if you wait too long.
Yeah. Well, it's great and exciting things that are going on. And one more question before we get to the healthcare marketplace and insurance. Do you foresee the hospital building or expanding because of this?
Well, we are actually, it's funny you say that. We are actually in the process of expanding. We are starting we started a project this week. We're expanding 2 more surgical suites. When we built that tower 5 years ago, that was part of the plan that we would eventually expand it out. And so we're building out 2 more suites, and that should be up and ready by January. But that's all signs of the growth that we've had. And you know, our emergency room continues to grow, and our number of admissions and surgeries all continue to grow. And there's a lot of opportunities for us at the local level, working with the physicians to continue to see that grow. So, I mean, it's exciting. I've been here 8 years now, and we've been able to accomplish a lot, but there's a whole lot more that we still want to get done.
And in addition to that, we also updated the cath lab
this
year, which is
we bought a brand new cath lab.
It was fantastic, and that was even before all of this was coming down.
With
So
Tennova,
the company has been really good in investing in helping us bring what's needed for our community.
Okay, and what is that specifically?
The cardiac cath lab is, the one we have is probably one of the top in the country, believe it or not. It's when somebody is having a cardiac event, they will actually go in with a camera and look in the heart, in the vessels of the heart, and if they see the blockage, they can then send equipment down in there and open up that blockage. Then they can also go in and put a stent in to keep that vessel open. The particular camera that we purchased, it's basically like if you were to walk into a cave and have the ability to look all the way around. That's what our cardiologists can now do. They can, in your heart, they can go into the outer vessels and they can look, and they can do it radially. They actually go in through, instead of cutting your chest open or anything like that, they can go in through the ribs with this camera. They insert it into your heart, and they're able to look around the vessels of your heart and look for those blockages, and then go in and remove that blockage. But that's a great example of, you know, how far we've come locally. But at the same time, if we got in there and we saw a patient who had a multitude of issues going on, maybe diabetic, or they had a bunch of other things going on, and the physicians thought, you know, this patient's pretty fragile. It's not just a simple removal of that clot, which is never a simple procedure to begin with, especially if it's your heart. But you know, if they feel like a patient is probably too old or has got too many other complications going on, then we can get that patient shipped down to Chattanooga very quickly. And I'll even say this as an extra plug. Erlanger just recently put a helicopter up at our jetport up here on the north end of town. And that helps. I mean, that really gives us the ability to almost act like we've got open heart surgery.
Correct.
We don't do open heart surgery here. Open heart surgery is a whole lot less than it used to be. But because of their closeness and their proximity, if we had something go where a patient started crashing, we can get that helicopter from the jetport. It takes all of 2 minutes, literally, for them to be here. I mean, that's quicker than if you were at Erlanger or Vanderbilt, how long it would take you to get you from the cath lab to their surgical suite. So I mean, we really are functioning just like a full-service hospital when it comes to those type of things because of that helicopter being up there.
I saw that not long ago.
It's
We
very
lived
exciting.
out that way, and driving past, realized that the Erlanger helicopter
Yeah,
was
they
there.
base one there now, so that's huge. That's a huge step for our community, huge step for our EMS. I mean, it's been good, and I know Danny Lawson, those guys have been working very hard to make that happen. So for that to come to fruition has been good for us.
That's great. Well, so many exciting things.
Yes.
And let's move to insurance.
Everybody's favorite topic
There you
right
go.
now. I mean, I think it is everybody's
Well, we've
favorite
got to
topic.
pay for all of this, right?
That's right.
So, the healthcare marketplace, Stephanie, let's just give our viewers just the update and what's going on now.
Correct. As everybody knows, there was a 3-year plan for enrollment, and there's many options for individuals to go in, and it's set up based on, and it is individualized. Every person has different setup and background, and so you would just go in and enroll. There's different options for you, again, depending on, you may be single, you may be married, you may have multiple children. There's different tiers that you can choose from. And ultimately what we're trying to do is offer resources for individuals that may not be sure how to navigate through that system. And so we have a phone number that people can call. It's 423-559-6377. And we have counselors that are available to help individuals navigate through that marketplace, because there's a lot of information out there, and we know based on the past couple of years that there's been a lot of questions around that. And a lot of times some people may actually qualify for other things other than the marketplace, and those
Right.
counselors are qualified to help you get what level of insurance you're applicable for.
Right.
Okay.
And it's more important than ever because the fines are going up pretty dramatically if you don't have insurance. So, you know, it's in everybody's best interest to find out what's available.
Right.
Sure. And you're just there to assist and to and to
Correct.
help.
Right. Yeah. We don't
Yes.
offer a product. We just can help people navigate through the system.
And to be honest, that's a service we've done forever, not just necessarily the marketplace, but we've always had financial counselors that were available to help people know what options they might have. So this is an extension of that service, and these are people that are trained to navigate through the current marketplace specific to the health place marketplace.
Okay, and it's very confusing, some of it, you know, and I'm sure there are individuals, once they get online, that
Right.
have
I mean,
no idea.
It is.
When it's so individualized, you have people that have been in the service, people who haven't been in the service. I mean, again, it's really, you have to go in and cater it to your individual situation.
And there's different levels. There's a platinum, gold, silver, and bronze based on, you know, otherwise healthy 25-year-old male probably doesn't need the same level of coverage as a 62-year-old, you know, somebody who's got diabetes or been a
Right.
smoker or what have you. They have very different health care needs. So they try to set it up to establish different tiers available. But it is confusing because I think people don't necessarily understand all the differences with the plan and the Affordable Care Act. I think that it's a noble effort to try and get a lot of things accomplished, but it can be confusing, and so it's good to have those counselors there to try and help walk people through the process.
Okay, and that's going on right now.
Currently,
correct?
yes. And it goes through January 31st, and my understanding is the penalties will start.
Penalties will start, and I think the penalties actually hit you on your taxes. I think
Right.
is how they do it. So.
So
Okay, so make
we
sure
encourage
that
everyone
you
to call with questions
Yes.
at 423-559-6377.
Okay, and very important to do
Yes.
that. So anyway, a lot of good news. Excited to, about what's going on at our new Tennova hospital.
Right, and you can go to Tennova.com and click on the East region and learn more information about us as well, and you'll see a lot of Peyton.
Yeah, I do want to
Which
clarify
I am
that.
Great.
A lot of people are going, well, so did Peyton buy our hospital? No, Peyton didn't buy our hospital. He's just our spokesperson for it.
He just believes in that
Right.
system, right?
Yes,
Well,
it
actually, what
does.
started it, he had knee surgery. I guess when he was a player at UT, he had knee surgery at the old St. Mary's Hospital, which became Physicians Regional up there, and he was so impressed with the job they did. He stepped up and became the spokesperson for the whole system. So it's good to have him on our team.
That's great. That is great. Well, it's good to have both of you today. I
Thank you.
appreciate you coming in and updating us on all of the good news and exciting news. And so anyway, so our viewers know what's going on in
Right.
our community and how great it is and what a wonderful hospital and facilities that we have right here in this community.
Well, thank you. That's
Thank
kind. We
you.
really do, and we hope we don't take it for granted.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you for having us.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed the interviews today, and don't forget to check out Fort Bluff in Dayton, Tennessee, and say hello to Vance and Connie Berger from Wendy Benton in Cleveland, and we will see you next time on WTNB Today.